Good morning, people. Good morning. Yes, good morning. Yeah, let me just set up this computer. Yeah, the cord's not long enough. It's not a lot of, it's not fully charged. But I want to keep my mouth near the mic. But anyway, let me just make sure that the sound, okay, putting up the volume as high as possible. Yes, good morning. This is Spirit Journey. Today is June 2021, and the time is about 5:49 a.m. this lovely Tuesday morning. Yeah, it's outside. It's very, very humid out there. Very humid. And yeah, I'm not sure what the rest of the weather is going to be like. Hope you all having a good day. Yeah, I'm still limiting the videos that I do. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. So I had to do a lot of walking to get there, and my body's tired right now. I would be getting ready to go outside and walk my dogs this time. I said, I just want to relax right now. Maybe I might go out later on. Yeah, so how you all doing? Hope you all doing good. I want to talk about some subjects here. I entitled this live stream, Why Does the N Word uh, Bother You So Much? And I give this talk um, from an incident that I saw yesterday as I was coming back home. Yeah, I had a doctor's appointment, and then I wanted to go get some books, and I was just on my way home. I live in the city. Many of you know who watch my channel. I live in New York City. I was in Manhattan, and I was on, I think it was 23rd Street. I was going up Broadway, and at a part of Broadway, it intercepts into Fifth Avenue. So I was right at that junction, and all of a sudden I hear this yelling, a man's voice yelling, real loud, and the voice sounded very angry. And I was trying to find out where this voice was. I wanted to stay away from this loud yelling. And the reason for that, those of you who haven't heard things that go on in New York City, a lot of physical violence is occurring. And I want to stay away from violence. Yes, some people still have some wisdom out there. If you hear commotion, whatever, sometimes it's best to go in the opposite direction. Try to avoid confrontation if you can. But I wanted to know where it was coming from. I hear it, and I wanted to put context to what I was hearing. And I think he was saying the N word, something about someone calling him a name or something. Then I see the individual. It was a relatively young black man. He could have been in his early to mid 30s. He was just very clean. He wore those pants. These a lot of men wear. Black and Hispanic men. They wear these short pants. I mean, the pants that come up to their shin bone of their leg. Um, a T-shirt that fitted nicely on him. Clean sneakers, socks. He was well groomed. He had a dark complexion. Well, well, like he cared about his appearance. And I see that he is yelling and following a lady. But the ladies just seemed to be in her own world. The lady looked like a Hispanic woman, older, like in her 50s or 60s. She was very, very short, wide hips, um, and just walking. And then he's, but yelling, following her and yelling at her. Loud, 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 loud. Very, very loud. And I was worried because I thought, because of the violence that's going out now in New York City, that he was going to get physical. And I think that's why I stopped. They were on the opposite side of the street, because remember, I had crossed over. I um, wanted to go away from where the sound was, the yelling was coming from, but to find out what's going on too, but at a distance. Yes, good morning, viewer. I think it's a viewer. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Yes. Talk about a very sensitive subject, but I think it needs to be said about the N word. So again, this young black man, again, he seemed, well, neatly dressed, very clean, nice haircut, very short haircut, very, you know, um, he reminded me of maybe someone, maybe he was on vacation, just visiting New York City. He just had a fresh urban look that if I can describe it right, how he was dressed. And the lady, the middle-aged lady in the 50s or 60s, is in front of him and just walking at a steady pace. And you wonder, what do they know each other? What's going on? And at some point, like, she raised her hand and, like up in the air, one on, like, yeah, whatever, that type of gesture, whatever. Yes, thank you for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. But you wonder what was going on. And he followed her the length of the block. It was one of those long blocks. I'm like in the middle of the block. The guy was that loud. I don't want anybody to be calling me the N-word or blah, 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 blah. And he even crosses the street. When she crosses the street, and I was kind of worried. I was worried, thinking maybe he's going to hit her, because he was elevating. The voice was just his rage. He sounded like a man out of control. Some people stood, and watched at a distance also. We wondered what's going on. But evidently, he didn't. Um, I don't know whether he just singled this lady out, but something about the N word, and he didn't like it, and he's just going off. But as I was, hearing him, why is he carrying on the way he is? This man is just carrying on. And whether someone called him the N-word or not, or perceived or made him feel like he wasn't accepted, whatever. This neighborhood in Manhattan, in New York City, is an extremely diverse area. You have everything. It's a crossroads. The area where it happened on 23rd Street, where Fifth Avenue and Broadway intersect. I like the area. I feel comfortable with the area. Everybody just minding their own, just shopping, whatever it was. Um, the weather cleared up because it was raining earlier that day. So I had on my rain gear actually, and I was getting warm with this rain gear on. And I had to take it off, um, not too, you know, right after that incident. I had to take off um, my boots and my rain jacket. I just wrapped around my waist, tied it around my waist. Yeah, because now the sun was out. It was gorgeous day. It was a nice day. But I thought about the incident. Again, I did not see the very beginning. And the woman is just walking at a fast pace, to me, she just seemed like a middle aged lady, Hispanic looking, just on her way shopping, whatever, for family or whatever, and just want to get to a destination. Um, wasn't paying him any mind, occasionally she raised her arm like, come on, that type of gesture, come on, you know, leave me alone, type of thing. The guy came across like a fool, very foolish. Yes, no one wants to be called any bad name. No one. But I think the guy, again, I was not there in the beginning, very, very beginning. I don't know what triggered or whether it was the lady, perceived lady, or somebody else, and he just targeted the lady. I don't know. But the fact that he's talking about the N word, or, you know, so it seems like what's happening now with the some of the black men in New York City, their sense of dignity is being challenged. You feel challenged. You feel hurt. You feel disenfranchised. You feel discriminated against. You feel a lot of things. And this was very evident in 2020 with George Floyd killing, and other people too that were killed last year. Senseless killings of black men and black women. What I'm plagued about in New York City culture, and I'm saying this as a black person, I'm in my 50s, I'm 58 years old, born and raised in New York City, was in the military, in the Navy, and met white people who weren't really comfortable around black people. Um, I saw a lot of things, growing up. Not as much as some people probably, but I, I, um, I was always sensitive about racism. Very, very, very sensitive. I'm a sensitive person, period. But I was aware that I was different. That I was different because of race, how I was treated in the private sector of employment, how I was felt different than a lot of my black counterpart. I don't come from the South, and there are cultural differences, and how I speak is a little different than some of the other American blacks. So I kind of always stood out, and I didn't really know where I fit, but I always knew I was a black person, that things that you see in the media, I knew that it would also extend towards me, the sentiment of the day, especially um, got like my first job in 1980. I worked for the city. Things were socially segregated at that city agency. Um, drugs. Um, yeah, whites and blacks really didn't early 80s socialize. Uh, things in New York City was very neighborhoody. Yeah, especially what you call the outer boroughs. So if you live in Brooklyn, Manhattan, you were in your own little community according to these boroughs and neighborhoods. I never felt comfortable in these neighborhoods, and I say neighborhoods in quotes. I avoided them, and I love the city. Parts of Manhattan that I felt safe in. I always felt safe in the village. I used to hang out in the village. The village is in the lower Manhattan, like from south of 14th Street uh, up to like West 4th Street, east or the west. I like that area because I didn't feel judged there. And you have a lot of different types of people that go there. But soon when you go into Queens, especially that neighborhoody feel, and people start to stare at you, or I should say, white people start to stare. It's somehow everything changes, at least changed for me when I was going home. Like I would take the F train home. That was my favorite train. And you see, like when you got to, I think, Roosevelt, that's the stop, and everything after going to the last stop, where people started to seem different, act different, and you can't talk to them. All of a sudden now race mattered. I always felt it. No one ever said anything to me, but it's just something that I felt. I was becoming aware of racial differences soon when I got to that train station, arrived at that stop on the train. I hope you guys could hear me on the this live stream because my mouth isn't um, near the mic, but I hope you could still hear me. Yeah, sorry to move the camera so often. Um, so I always was aware, and I'm particularly aware in school, high school. My high school I went to Jamaica High School. Jamaica High School in its early days was a predominantly white school. It was considered the best in Queens, and it might have been considered one of the best in New York City. Demographics changed, and by the time I got there in 1976, it was extremely diverse in race, nationality, everything. It included everybody. But I always remembered how the American blacks at that time acted, some of them. Very guarded, angry, and I started learning, like it seemed like, and I'm not doing this video to offend anybody. That's not my point in doing it, but observation, how I felt, how I internalized things. That's what this is about, and about overcoming. But right now I'm just sharing my perspective through my eyes, how I perceived my world at the time. Um, I started noticing the darker someone was of our community, of the black community, the more angry they seemed, the more that they tended to be in remedial classes, and the lighter people were, or the white, the whiter, they were in a different type of class, the honor classes. They seemed happier. They walked around with a smile on their face. They total different air about individuals. Um, so I started to be conditioned about uh, the black community and noticing that the darker skinned blacks would treat me one way. I'm a brown skinned woman, uh, a caramel brown in color, like Holly Berry. I'm her complexion. My hair's a little could grow a little longer. I'm a mixed blood. I'm a black woman of mixed heritage. Um, and then I'm not from the South. So again, perception. Back then, there were a lot of American blacks in New York City. American blacks were the second largest group in New York City, but not anymore. Okay, uh, Black Americans in New York City, the numbers is dwindling. I think the largest ethnic group is actually people from the Dominican Republic, and that's a whole new story in itself. But it's just that the percentages and politics, it's changing in New York City. But I remember growing up and what school was like. And I knew for myself, do not get into any remedial classes. You better try to, once you get in, you won't be able to get out. I felt for me that it was a prison. Again, I never discussed this with anyone growing up when I was in school, but it's just something I perceive. I was in one remedial class, a social studies class, and I knew, get out, try to get it, because you can't escape it. I felt the bars, I felt the oppression in the class, I felt the condescending, patronizing, every negative experience. I knew I wanted to get out, and I needed to improve my grades. Yeah, I saw that being in an honors class, they treat you differently. You're treated with respect. You're treated like you're intelligent, uh, and a lot of other things. They make things easier for you. And I noticed that with the regular classes, they make things harder. Just again, my perception. And you wonder, well, what does this have to do with the N word? It's all about perception. How do you feel about yourself? And growing up, being a black person of mixed heritage, of not being from the South, my background is Caribbean. I was born and raised here. My parents were born and raised here, but it was my grandparents. They migrated here from the Caribbean, various islands. And so they have their own perception about life because they're coming from a different location. And that's going to be transmitted onto their kids, you know? You are who you are in your experiences. So I remember one day in this high school in Queens, someone wrote in black paint, um, I forget exactly how it's worded, all N word, go home, something like that. Or N word go home, or all N word must go home, something like that. in big black letters, written on the front part in big graffiti, you know. And I knew that meant me. I knew that N word meant me. And I never talked to my parents about it. Um, I didn't feel comfortable about race, about talking about racial issues. I avoided it. Um, but I saw this, and I didn't feel good about it. um, blacks then, blacks back then, there was a thing called wilding. Wilding. We had young black men. They were not men, boys. These were teenagers, and they would wear the same outfit. They would wear all black. I think it was Adidas. They would wear. They were like warm up suits. I remember, Adidas warm up suits, and they would go and in packs, large packs, and start beating up people, white people in particular. And I witnessed an attack on people who I knew. And I remember seeing the leader in front of that crowd, that gang of boys, teens, throw the first punch, and they hit someone who I knew, a white fellow. It was a bus stop. It was a Q 43 bus stop, right next to my bus stop. It was across the street, in front on the same side of the street, but across the street. And I was horrified. And warning was given out as I was waiting for the bus. School's over. We're waiting for our bus to come. And there was a black lady, like a teen. She could have been a little older than me. And hear her say to a white fellow, another student, "Oh, you better go home because you're going to get beaten up," something like that. But she didn't say it in a voice to warn him because she cared about his safety, but like, "Yeah, we want to beat you up." That type of message. And I remember I didn't like that. Yeah, I was very I was opinionated back then. I mean, to myself, we hear things and uh, feel about what they're saying, good or bad. I didn't like what she said. I didn't like the spirit behind what she said, and no one wants to be told to go home because of their race. Um, the school basically people got along, um, but they were different. You had black Americans who had no hope. These were the ones that tend to be very angry. They primarily lived in South Jamaica, Queens, and just a very high crime area. I mean, a lot of houses. A lot of people. They were houses, private houses, but a poorer section. And yes, money and poverty. You know, you don't have money. It changes your behavior. Kids that had more uh, lived in nicer neighborhoods, they tended to have better self-control. Okay, that's a big difference that I noticed. They had ambitions. So so what I'm learning is when you lack hope and when you feel angry, And when people are calling you the N word, you feel the punch, you feel the pain, and you lash out. And that's what I primarily see in New York City. Um, I see American blacks, and I worded like that, American blacks, because it was the terminology that was used with me growing up, a black person, not the term African American. Um, so I use this in an old school sense because that's where I come out from. Um, but I feel I see the pain, and you know the pain has not gone away. And now in New York City, black people, black Americans, are not the largest minority group now. You have others. And I see these others, they do not employ American blacks. They, they love the music. They, but that's about it. People like to take from the black community, black American community, but they never add to the pot. They don't add to us. They'll start businesses in the black neighborhoods, but they don't love the people there. People know when they're not liked. And this is where some of the hatred and anger stems from, in my opinion, um, why some of these American blacks might want to, do harm to some of the store owners. They're treated with disrespect. But so what does this have to do with now? This man that I saw looked like he's in his early 30s. He was hurt. He reminded me, I mean, even, it was really weird because how he was dressed, but how he acted. He acted like a poor black man from my past. An angry young black man who wanted to lash out. Even though how he was dressed, he seemed like someone who I would think would be more on the intelligent, self-controlled, but he wasn't. I was not there at the time, or what sparked it. And my instincts tell me the woman that he's following was just a random woman. Um, but the anger it was unbelievable. And he was yelling so loud. And I was concerned about his emotional mental health. What would trigger your behavior as an adult, not a teenager? This was an adult male. Looked like it's someone in his 30s. Again, he's very clean. He dressed clean, urban wear, but clean and neat. You're going to walk around and telling people you don't like certain words, whatever, and don't call them this and that. What you're doing, bro, this is where I really want to discuss about. I just want to give background information. When you go out in public and tell people that you don't like certain, you don't want to be called this or that, or don't you call me. Yeah, it's like a child, like a wounded child. You stand your ground. Don't let people know in public like to carry on like that, because you are presenting yourself in a weak state. You look physically strong, but you acted weak by how you carried on. You're not making it people feel sorry for you. by your behavior. They wouldn't want to come to your aid if you're in any distress. I stand like a man. You're showing that you letting a word. Why does that word? Yeah. Why does the N word bother you so much? Why? You know who's putting power to that word? You are. You are making that word into the ugly monster. And when I was listening to the guy, carry on, this is what I was thinking. I said to myself, you're going to let that word trigger you? Dude, what does that word really mean? So this is what I want to share. This is important. Why I'm sharing this. This is important. The N word with the ER at the end. See, there's different ways how people say the N word. The classic way is with the ER ending and a strong pronunciation with the ER of that word. Now, that word, to me, again, but I do not come from the South, and I let people know I don't come from the South. That is not where my heritage comes from. And the sentiments of that word of a southern white person, right? They want you to think that only southern white people are prejudiced. I find some of the nicer people are from the country, from the South or rural areas. When they don't want to be bothered by you, right? They they don't. You know it. You know where they come from. But it's people up north, where I'm from, are the ones that are really dangerous because they pretend to be a friend, but all these policies and hiring people outside of the community and hiring foreigners. Again, this is not about foreigners against being xenophobic. That's not what this is about. But they avoid any interaction from you, and so they hire everyone else but you. So I started analyzing the word. Now I grew up feeling self-conscious because of my uh, African/Black heritage. But I started asking myself questions. What makes these other people better than me? Why do I perceive that they were supposed to be better than me? I started asking questions. And now, as a woman in my 50s, I love myself. And I embrace my skin, my hair, my afro hair. I love me. And it's those other people with the problem. Why would what should it matter? The size of my lips, my nose, my hair. Why would that? Why would that be anybody else's business but my own? What's so wonderful about their looks? Start asking questions. The N word. When you hear the N word, now I've never heard um, in New York a white person call any black person the N word. Never. Never, never, never. Okay? And in New York, they're sneaky about, they don't say that openly. Unless maybe, let's say you're in one of the outer boroughs and you just so happen to be in their neighborhood, you'll probably hear it then. But even with that, the type of people that would say a word like that, these are poor whites. And I notice, like in New York City, who tend to be the poor whites? People of Catholics. So that's Irish and Italian and Polish. These are usually live in poorer neighborhoods, poorer education, And historically, they pit us against each other. Again, these people were brought in historically to usurp the jobs of Black America. And they, as Catholics, were discriminated against. People who are discriminated that I notice like to target other people to make themselves seem big. Okay, but it's immaturity. Um, but the N word. Let me get with the N word now. Now, if a white person is this is my perception. When white people allegedly say those words, don't you realize the context? What's really where it's really stemming from? Their immature, their own fear. They are afraid of you. They're jealous of you. Yeah, that's right. That some of these white people are so jealous of your um, presence. Remember, it was white people that brought black people. They took the best of Africa and brought us into the Americas. You are strong. You were healthy. Now, if you were weak, you died right away, probably, right? So the best survived. The strong survived. And they see your strength. It seems like American blacks tend to be taller than a lot of other groups in the U.S. Tend to be taller and stronger. At least in New York. But yes, you do have shorter people too. You have people now coming from all over the Caribbean, Latin America, newer Africans, arrivals. But American blacks of the day were tall people, tall and big, big boned. And they're jealous and envious of you. So when they say that N word, they say with contempt. And it's like, so for me when I hear it, the N word with the strong ER at the end, what that word means to me. That is a word given towards a black person of an insecure white man, white woman. And I laugh. I laugh to myself. That's a word of an insecure individual against you. Remember this good. American black man. You built America. You built America. Remember that. Take pride that you are strong and alive and you help build the best country in the world, the envy of the planet. So someone allegedly or actually says the N word to you, you stand and laugh because that's a word of a jealous, insecure person. And you don't see that. You built their world. You built the economy. And now they want to use that word to try to shame you. It's shame on them. They don't like you. They feel that way about you. They shouldn't have brought you over here. They shouldn't have brought us over here in the Americas. Remind them that. The other thing I was thinking of when this man was saying how no one better not tell them the N word, and I'm wondering whether that was just in his imagination, boy, because no one was paying him any mind, and he was a handsome fellow, neatly dressed, very clean looking. He was losing tap of his inner power. You were losing your power. Dude, you grab your power. Take your power back by standing strong and confident. You look like you did not act like a confident man. And that was your mistake in this whole episode, and how you're going to be perceived by others by giving someone else your power, following a short Hispanic looking woman that didn't pay you any mind. You're going to let a woman get you bent out of shape like that, dude? And you're not the only one that I saw um, this behavior. Years ago, I was in Harlem, and I see a man about the same age, in 30s, dragging a white girl. She could have been in her 20s and 30s. You know, she looked a little younger. She was very petite, very petite. And he was dragging her body here on the and she on the ground. And he's yelling, "Don't you bump into me! Don't you bump into me!" I mean, this guy is way over 6 feet. This lady might have been 5 feet. It's a big dude. I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Because someone allegedly bumped into you. Maybe she did. But you can attack a woman like that and drag her like some caveman. Dude, how are you going to be perceived? I hope you guys can hear me. Let me know that you can hear me. You type a one for yes that you can hear clearly. But you're giving away your power. A little person like that, you're gonna alleged bump into you. Yeah, because you feel disempowered. People bump into each other in New York City. You know, it's crowd. It wasn't that crowded. The sidewalk at the time. I'm wondering, boy, how, what's going on? Come on, dude. You're showing how weak and vulnerable you feel about yourself. Don't look for trouble, and don't be trouble. You need to tap on to your power. You're gonna let a little female bend you out of shape, and you're a big ass dude. You look foolish. You look foolish. The other thing that I was thinking of, as this man that I witnessed yesterday carry on because someone allegedly said the N word to him. Whatever, very racial diverse area. People are friendly in that neighborhood. Um, I said to myself also, I said, dude, you need to learn history. You need, like, if someone honestly calls you something like that, you need to be able to respond. See, what you were doing, you were reacting. You need to learn how to respond in a positive way for your edification of a situation that made you uncomfortable. Because it's going to affect future responses of people who do say things verbally against certain people because of their race. You need to learn how to respond and nip it in the bud with strength. And so what I was thinking, you need to, okay, whoever who attack you, who are they? What is their ethnicity? What is their heritage here in America? Learn about their shortcomings in history. Put it in perspective and remind them what they are. If they want to call you the N word, remind them where they came from with wisdom and knowledge and truth. See, it is truth that needs to be said here when someone calls you an N word or something like that. something to deprecate you, right? You have sneaky people who do that. Yes. Remind them where they come from. Tell them who they are with knowledge behind your words. Who's that person that bumped? Who are they? Well, remind them where their shortcomings are. Start studying about other people. Learn about your history. Learn about their other people's history. That is power. When you know it, use it in power to humble them who attack you. Anyone who says these foul words to people are cheap shots. You have people who say things because it's a cheap shot because they know it hurt your feelings. Well, hurt their feelings right back with wisdom. Remind them what they are. Remember, oh, you're the N word. Well, maybe you shouldn't have kidnapped my ancestors to do the work that you weren't man enough to do yourself. You have to start talking this way to remind them of their shortcomings. This is what you should have done, I think, in my opinion. But to act like a wounded animal, at least publicly like that, is showing a um, bad representation to younger black males watching. You're letting a word, and a word that a lot of blacks use in New York. You use it amongst yourselves, but not with the strong ER at the end, but a variation. You use the UH ending or the AH ending of the N word. So it's a variation, but you use it very comfortably with each other. Well, when you do things like that in public, again, you are teaching others that they can say it. You hate yourself so much, black man and black woman in America, that you say these things. And you need to stop it, because who is putting fuel to the fire but you? You are currently the one putting fire to that word, making it bigger than it is. It's a small word. It's a small word because small people invented that word. And remind those people where they come from. So it's up to you to learn their history in the matter of the Americas and how they are treating this country and putting it down the tube, giving your power to other countries like China. They're buying out China. They're buying out America, China. All the jobs are being sent out to China. I know this is not an anti-China rant. But the politics, you have white America in government, and Obama too, who are selling out your country that you built and giving it onto the hands of communist people. It's about communist China and taking control over America and other countries around the world. And you preoccupied about the N word, and you're telling people what triggers you. Dude, this is not how you fight a war, by sharing people what triggers your anger. When your anger gets triggered, don't you realize, dude, that the police could come and have a field day with you? Use your head. Learn how to respond and not react. A lot of Black America is reacting and are thrown in jail because of how they react. You need to start learning how to respond with intelligence. It took intelligence to build this country. Hello out there. It took intelligence and skill to build a nation like America. The envy and the glory of this planet. You have tons of people who do anything to come to America. You have people who sell their children in order for them to come to America. And what you're doing, acting like a sorry kitten, a wet kitten, because someone called you an N-word. See, you act like a weak child. We need, as a group, to stand strong and tall and with confidence and start planning community. Community. But you want everybody to love you. But you don't love yourself because you believe that you are the N-word. But again, I gave you the real meaning behind the N-word, the one with the ER ending at the end. It's really a term of envy upon you. They are envious of us, and they wish they were us. You always remember that. So when it's said to you, you laugh. You say, I'm proud to be who I am. And shame on you that you can't do your own work. You rely on us because we have the skill and talent that you didn't have. Don't you know what was that in 1618 or 1617? It was a ship of white men from Britain. And did you know that they all virtually perished when they tried to set up shop here? Hello, dude. Hello. You didn't know that one, huh? See, if you knew that, you would laugh at people saying that. Because here, these white men who came free will to make it big in this part of the hemisphere, they didn't have the backbone to survive 1 year in North America. And another ship had to come in and rescue them, the ones that did survive. I think over 90% of the people died. All white men perished. You better start learning about that history and laugh when someone got the nerve to call you the N-word with the strong ER at the end. And see, that's what you should remind them of. Where they are. And that they only are where they are now because of you. Wisdom and knowledge is what you need. What we all need to fight this fight on. It's a mental warfare. It's a psychological war that's being used upon Black America and all of America. We're all being seduced and shamed and to be afraid of one another. Yeah, there's a devil out there that's causing havoc on the planet, creating a pandemic with this virus, separating families. You can't even visit your grandparents, and then they perish. All these things, and you're getting all wimpy because of a word that you use. I'm not saying you specifically, but all over. Black men and black women using the N word, creating music with the N word constantly, constantly. You are your worst monster. You are. And those rap singers are your enemy. They are your enemy because they're working against the black community. They're showing poor self control. You need self control. You need to learn how to respond with wisdom, knowledge, and truth against racism. You need community. You need to focus on community. Your community is not prison. They're setting you up. Those rap singers are setting you up. Now they have this thing called hip hop culture. Throw that trash out the window. Hip hop culture is a mind control thing to keep you feeling like a victim. You are not a victim. You are not a victim. History is only history. It is their story and their perception of what happened in history. You start forming your history that will provide you strength and sense of pride and dignity. This is what you're lacking. And you can change your world overnight by changing the way you think about yourself. You're thinking all these other people are hot crap, hot shit, right? They're nothing. They're not as great as you think they are. And many of them are victims to the system also. The system that's really in control is controlling all of us. Those white communities, they have alcoholics, drug addicts also, spouse abuse. You see all in some neighborhoods, all these young white kids acting out. Their fathers aren't home either. Dude, you need to start learning about where they're coming from, what's happening in their communities. And if by chance one of them says something to offend you, remind them what they are and what they are about. It is time for community, to build your community, to say enough is enough and not joining these communist organizations that are spying on our community, like Antifa and Black Lives Matter organization. These people are exploiting you. Where are they now? They were around in 2020. This is 2021. Where are they now? How come they're not setting money in these urban neighborhoods to educate, health, all these things? They're pocketing the money and they're using the money for elections, election fraud. Donald Trump was our asset. You don't have to like him, but he was actually for us. But you got deceived, and these communists are exploiting your sensitivity to the N word. And they cause it, they are sparking you to commit acts of violence upon yourself. 2021 now has you killing yourself, killing people from in your neighborhood. They have been already, before even Memorial Day weekend, you were doing mass shootings of people in your neighborhood, black neighborhood. Why? It is a backlash to the anger and frustration that's being put on you deliberately, and you fall for it. You fall for it every time. You're letting these outside agitators, and just because a woman wants to have sex with you they're from another community, and it goes to your head. Don't you realize that they're using you? That they send out women to target the black community, to manipulate you, to control you. Kanye West, who's he married to? Who's was in the cuckoo hospital? She wasn't in no cuckoo hospital. Hello, people. You know what I'm getting at? They put a woman in there with a big behind, big boobs, but control him. You don't see that, huh? You better start seeing the truth. Not everything that looks good or even tastes good is good for you. And they're putting in these type of women to control the black men. And then they're shaming black women. And they get you just start looking at that. Start seeing what they really do. They're tricking you. Come back home to community. Start focusing on community. Start focusing on your children. You have children? Well, you better start taking care of them. And I'm slowly, on the up note, I'm slowly seeing young black men with their babies, their black babies, in a stroller or holding them really nice. And they're by themselves. I guess it's daddy's day out. The little infants. For the first time, I'm seeing this. And it's a beautiful thing to see. It is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. See, this is your real reality. You want children. You want community. And you too can have it. It starts with the changing the way you think about yourself. Don't be distracted by these outside agitators. If you're on drugs, get off the drugs. Go to a rehab and say, enough is enough. I'm going to start doing right for my children, my girlfriend. You don't need 100 girlfriends. Have your one wife, one husband, one-on-one, and form a beautiful union, a long-lasting relationship, and build community. That's what you need to do. Not be preoccupied with the N-word, especially when you are promoting it in music, on television, radio. Cut it. You are a mighty warrior. You survived the Americas for over 500 years, dude. Don't Let it be thrown in the garbage. All that work for nothing. People from outside taking over our community. And they're fooling you. And they're fooling the black woman as well. Oh, let's get Donald Trump. Let's get him. He's a racist. Oh, really? Oh, really? You're foolish. You're foolish. New York City is going to be taken out of your hands. It's another election year in New York City. And you got all these people of these exotic backgrounds who are running for mayor, for political office. And you very rarely see black people running for office. So you got all these newcomers, and once they get in politics, they're just going to hire their own because you're too foolish to hire your own and support your own. These foreigners or newer generation, they know about community, and they know to stay in power, you have to hire your own. But you want to act stupid and hire everybody else but you. We need to come together and form community. You need to take care of your health. Stay away from the drugs. Stay away from the vaccines. And do you. Learn how to groom your body, comb your hair without those processed stuff, without those hair weaves, without those hair straighteners. You're making other people rich and not your own. You need to cook your own food. It's nice to eat out, but you need to start cooking your own food. You need to start opening up restaurants here in New York City. We have several million black folks, black American in New York City, but no black restaurants. Why is that? That's what you need to start focusing on, not the N word. People are jealous of you, and at any moment they're doing anything to hold you back, to distract you from who you really are. That's all I'm saying. Learn history. Start educating yourself. And start spending time with your children. Raise your own kids. Don't get the foster care system to raise your children where they're being sexually violated. Raise your own children. Establish your own schools, what's important to you, not this freaky deek. You have freaky people in the school system who want to teach the boys, oh, I don't know whether I'm a boy or girl. Well, honey, you got a big problem if you don't know whether you're a boy or girl. Stay away from these freaky people who are teaching that you could be any gender. No. We need men to be men and women to be women. And teach your children to respect their bodies, to respect their mind. Be careful what you watch, because it's being designed to destroy the way you think about yourself. Love yourself, love your community, and love your neighbor, and love your country. This is your country. You built it. You built it. You have people from all over the world. A lot of refugees are being planted in your neighborhood. And they're going to be the next ones in political office. You think they're going to care about you? No. Start caring about yourself. And once you really start caring about yourself, people are going to have a new sense of respect for you. Be respectable. carry yourself with respect and respect others. So I say I've been on here for 75 minutes. I think this is a very important message. You're putting power on the wrong thing, on a word that's meaningless. Put meaning back in your life. Love yourself. Love your family. I thank you for listening. And I hope, oh, I see the sun coming up. It's starting to come up there. It looks gorgeous. Yeah. Love yourself. Love yourself. Educate yourself. Educate yourself on what's important. A pyramid is not important. Who built the pyramids? Who cares who built the pyramid? Why don't you build yourself an apartment complex? Why don't you build yourself a permaculture garden where you can feed your community? Worrying about something in 10,000 years ago, history or higher. Worry about today. Make your own food. Plant a garden. Plant a farm. Learn about medicine. Become a doctor. Become a scientist. You're too busy waiting for somebody else to do it. Do it for your own community. And be the best at it. Be your personal best. That's my message about the N word. Put new meaning in your life. That's some kiddie word. What is it? An old word has old meaning. Put new meaning to it. It's a word of jealousy upon you. They are jealous of you. You stand with dignity and pride and teach that to your children. Thank you again. Peace, love, and joy to you. Yeah, I got to get my day started. Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do because I'm recuperating from yesterday. I walked a lot, exercised, my muscles are a little sore. Yeah, start reading and taking care of your mind. That's what I have to do. I thank you again for listening. I thank you. Enjoy your day. Bye-bye.